Bow Making 101. Hi, welcome to another video. By popular request, I'm going to teach you how to make a basic bow. Then we're going to make these not so basic bows. Are you ready? Let's get started. So I'm going to start out by showing you how to make a basic bow. Don't be intimidated. It's like tying your shoes. It was hard when you learned when you were 3 or 4, but now it's old hat, right? I'm going to start with this apple green velvet ribbon that has the gold lame backside. The reason is I want you to see very clearly how I turn the ribbon. So I chose this ribbon because it's so different on each side. One side is green velvet, the other is gold lame. And it's kind of a fun ribbon for the holidays. Now, do yourself a favor and always buy wired ribbon. It's very difficult to make a bow with unwired ribbon. Wired ribbon in the old days used to be really expensive, and now they're really inexpensive. So always buy wired ribbon. Okay, so you're going to start with getting a length of ribbon out of the bolt, and then you are just going to start making the first loop. Do a loop here, and then you're going to do the same loop on this side. And this is a bow without a center because we're going to do something interesting in the center. If you were to make a bow with a center, all you would do is loop it around your finger, twist it, twist this end here, and then start making your loops on either side. So this is a bow with a center. You don't always have to make a center for your bow. If you're making a simpler bow, then I would say you do want to have a center. But we're going to make a bow with many loops, so we don't really need the center. Okay? So I'm going to start again. See, this is the great thing about wired ribbon. You can always start again. So we're going to go ahead and make that first loop. Okay? And then you could turn this here this way, but since it's wired, it's not necessary. You can always, rejigger it once the whole bow is made. And then you make the loop on this side. And here's the important part. You hold it really well in this hand, and with this hand, you twist the ribbon. See why I chose this ribbon? So you can see that, you don't want to go ahead and make this loop like this, right? You twist it and make that next loop. And then you keep going. You can do as many or as few as you like. You can do like a tuxedo bow. What we call tuxedo bow is just a loop on each side, or maybe 2 loops on each side for a simple bow. Like a wide grosgrain grain ribbon would be beautiful in kind of a simple tailored tuxedo bow, or you can do lots and lots of loops. And you leave the tail as long as you want it to be. Okay, so if you leave this, this is what you're doing, leaving a length here for the tail. So I've made 3 loops on each side, and I like to kind of fluff the bow and structure it as I make it, and just pinch it really tight with your left hand. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and make another one. And depending on the style of the bow you want, if you make the loops all about the same size, then you're going to have more of like a rounded flower-looking bow. I sort of like my bows to have like longer ears at the back, longer loops at the back, so that they look kind of like a bow. So it's kind of like up to you. And this is kind of a thicker ribbon too. So if I make it too tightly together, it's almost too thick. So I'm done. I'm going to just tie it off. I'm using bind wire here to tie it off. Bind wire is just a thin gauge wire that's covered in paper. And I buy this from a flower supply store, and it's a nice bind wire because it's in dark green, which is wonderful if you're trying to tie this onto a wreath or something like that. It's pretty inoffensive. Pipe cleaners also work great to tie off ribbon, or you can use wire. I find that softer and thinner gauge wire is better because the thicker gauge wire is hard on your hands and you can't tie as tight a knot. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish the tail. I'm going to cut it about the same length. They don't have to be perfectly the same length. It's nice to have them 2 different lengths. And there's 2 different ways you can finish off your bow. You can do a notched tail, fold that in half. You guys know this. And then you just cut like a V, like a slant, so it's like a little V. That's the notch tail. Or you can go for a diagonal, just a clean diagonal. Just to be consistent on both sides. I'm just doing it this way to show you guys. I'm going to go ahead and notch this side as well. And that's how you do a basic bow. I wanted to show you guys how to make bows because I didn't realize how expensive they are. I was at a home decor store. They had a lot of Christmas stuff out, and they had this like kind of basic red flocked bow. It was $9.99 for one bow. And I thought, I need to empower you guys to make your own bows. Because you know what? You can buy 50 yards of pretty nice ribbon from Costco for $8. I think $7.99. So you can make a lot of bows with 50 yards. So here we have a very simple bow, and then we're going to embellish it, but I'll do that later. Okay, we're going to go on to another ribbon. I'm just going to make a lot of bows so you have lots of opportunities to see how it's done, and it'd be fun to see the variety. Here is a really, really gorgeous novelty ribbon I bought many, many years ago. It has the music of Silent Night on here, and it's a really wide width ribbon. Now with wide width ribbons, I usually don't do lots and lots of loops because then your bow is going to be gigantic, right? And I also make the loops a little longer in this case so that you can really see the pattern and the novelty print on this. That's just sort of my own, take on it. Now I bought this bow, gosh, I want to say almost 20 years ago. I used to do all the Christmas designs at Dunsmuir House in Oakland. It's a historic house, and for, I want to say, 5 years, I was the Christmas designer. And it's a huge, huge design show. They're open for, I think, maybe 6 weeks during the holidays. It's their biggest fundraiser. And it was so fun because we would go to the gift show at the San Francisco Convention Center, the Moscone Center, I think in July. And then we would, I'm going to leave a longer tail. And then we would go and buy all sorts of things from the importers back then. They would have lots of showrooms and interesting novel things like this ribbon at these showrooms and ornaments. It was so much fun. We would order everything in July, and whatever I was featuring in the house, the gift shop lady would buy the same thing because people will see it as they walk through the house and want to buy it at the gift shop because they, of course, exit through the gift shop. And we did, I want to say 14, 15 trees. And every tree, there was a tree in every room, a huge tree in the foyer that was about 30 feet tall that went from the first story to the third story into this gorgeous Tiffany ceiling. And it was always a huge undertaking to do the Christmas designs at Dunsmuir. We'd start, I would say just after Labor Day and finish right before Thanksgiving. And they would open the day after Thanksgiving for their Christmas show. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of wonderful people there, and it was just a tremendously hard job, though. I did it for, I think, 5 years, and it was fun. We had a theme for each room. Some of the standouts, one year I did a peacock themed tree in the dining room. That was just like, people just went insane for that. And we sold, I don't know how many thousands of peacocks in the gift shop. And let me think, another year we did flicker flame lights on the big tree. It was really, really difficult to put them on the tree. So they are Christmas lights that look like flames, and they had an amber flame that flickered. So the whole tree, there were thousands of these lights on this 30-foot tree, so the whole thing looked like it was lit by candles. That was kind of a huge hit. Just a lot of fun memories of working at Dunsmuir House. And this I remember was from Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim was this incredible importer. They had a beautiful showroom at the San Francisco Gift Center. I would go there and buy all sorts of interesting things from them. Sometimes I would ride on to the large Christmas order that I would place for the decor for my business and even for my home. They had, all these gorgeous resin, columns and urns that I use often in my my event business. And oh, I bought so many gorgeous things from Pacific Rim. I don't even know if they're still there because nowadays it's so different. Back then, you had all these wholesalers, but nowadays there's almost no retail, no wholesale, right? Because we have the internet. You guys can access anything that we professionals can access. And so I don't even know if these places are still in business. Kurt Adler used to be another big showroom at the San Francisco Gift Center. They did Christmas all year round. They had these beautiful imported ornaments from Germany and just incredible stuff. So that was a lot of fun. So this ribbon just reminds me of my days at Dunsmuir House. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and notch this ribbon, and we're also going to embellish it later. You guys have to stay to the end of the video where I'm going to show you how we're going to make these bows even more extra special. Okay, so I'm going to put these aside. Okay. Next, I'm going to show you how to make a composite bow. Composite bow is when you use two different kinds of ribbons. Now, I like to use two different ribbons that are different widths so that you can really see the two contrasting ones. So I have this gorgeous kind of coppery gold damask ribbon that in a really wide width, and this narrower number 9 beautiful mossy green velvet ribbon. I remember the old days when ribbon was so expensive. You would go to a nice store and they would charge you like $7 a yard for ribbons like this. So ribbon used to be very expensive, not so much now, right? You guys are lucky because in the old days, I remember there was a ribbon salesman, Lion Ribbon. I remember there was a salesman. He would come and present to me every year in the spring all the new ribbon for the year, and I would order ribbon from him. Now I remember he used to drive around this big fancy Cadillac Escalade. So there was a lot of money to be made in ribbon in the old days. And the ribbon was really expensive. Like a bolt of ribbon, like nice wired ribbon would cost, $38. Now it's so inexpensive. So I'm just making a small bow right now in the green velvet. You know what? I forgot to leave a tail. So I'm going to start again because I'm talking so much. But that's okay. It's another chance for you guys to see how it's done. Just get some ribbon, inexpensive ribbon from Costco, and just try it. It's not as hard as you think. Make the loop, make the second loop, and then you start twisting. Now, there are ribbon that are two-sided, so they're the same on each side, so you don't have to twist. But even when I'm using ribbon that's two-sided, I still like to do the twisting because I think the twisting gives you a nice, I don't know how to explain it, like a nice gathering so that your ribbon has a pretty dimension to it. So I would still say twist even if you have a double-sided ribbon. And definitely get the wired bow if you're just starting out. The hardest ribbon to use when you're starting out would be like a double-faced satin that's really slippery with no wire. Don't do that. That's for the professionals. With all this nice wire ribbon, don't buy unwired ribbon. It's very hard to make bows with. When I was learning to make bows, we had to use the old-fashioned, that papery, horrible acetate ribbon, not wired. If you make one mistake, then it's a disaster. See, I'm shaping the bow in my hand as I go. This velvet is unwired, so it's a little bit difficult to use. And my left hand is cramping from holding it. Okay. So I'm going to just stop here because I don't have enough to make another loop on this side. So I'm going to stop, cut a piece of this twine, this bind wire. Definitely get yourself a spool of bind wire. There's a million uses for it, and I love to use it in the garden as well. You see how this bow is like kind of falling apart because it's unwired? It's kind of difficult. But you can always just kind of, reform it in your hand as you're tying it off. Okay, so go ahead and tie that off. Kind of shape it a little bit in your hand. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and make a bow to go behind that with this gorgeous bronzy colored ribbon. This is easy to use because it's wired. Okay, so I'm going to leave a tail. I'm going to do a lot of bows today just so you can watch me do it several times with different kinds of ribbon. And the only way to learn is to do. So when I was working at Dunsmuir House, every year I would have all these volunteers who were committed to learning how to make bows, and then I ended up making all of them. We would reuse a lot of the bows, so we would hang them on hangers. And then we would have ladies whose entire job for like several weeks is just to fluff up old bows. I have hundreds and hundreds of spools of ribbon because we bought so many for events. You know, you have a wedding and they're wearing all turquoise, so you have to buy turquoise ribbon. And then you don't use all of it, so you have like half a bolt left. And then you have another wedding, everything's hot pink. And then you buy a bunch of hot pink ribbon, and then you have half a bolt left. So I have them organized in many boxes. Each box holds a different color ribbon. I have hundreds and hundreds of bolts of ribbon. So I almost never have to buy ribbon nowadays. For gift wrap or anything, if there's a color in existence, I probably have a bolt of ribbon to match. And of course, every conceivable white, off-white, champagne for all the weddings we've done. Okay. Okay, so I think I'm done with this ribbon, this bow. Then what I'm going to do is put this on top of this and tie it off. And this is what I mean by composite bow. You're using two different ribbons to get two different colors or textures to make one bow. I just thought that this mossy green looks so beautiful with this bronzy gold. And I like the opulence of the velvet against the damask. But we're not done yet. We're going to go ahead and embellish this later in the center. You guys know I have to be a little extra, right? Okay. Then we're going to line up all the tails and then cut tails. Oh, I hate cutting a length of ribbon off, but okay, I'm going to have to in this instance. Okay. They don't have to all be the same length. I'm going to just do a diagonal on the green mossy ribbon. Generally, if I have a thin ribbon, I don't do the notch. And if I have a thicker ribbon like this, I'll do the notch. Just sort of your own preference. So I did the diagonal on the mossy ribbon, and then I probably will do a notch on the fancy gold ribbon. And another good reason to use this composite bow is if you only have a small length of ribbon left of some color, you can always back it. If you want to make a bigger bow, you can always back it with another color, right? Like I don't have much of that mossy green velvet, and it doesn't make a very big bow, but you can put it in the center of this gold ribbon, so you have a much bigger bow that you can use on like a wreath or anywhere you want to decorate for Christmas. Okay. I'm going to make another composite bow, this time with a very old ribbon that I've had forever. This really was bought by the yard. I think it was very expensive. I think this was bought maybe in the 90s. And then I have this very beautiful, almost raw silk looking turquoisey teal color that I think would be beautiful with this. See, this is a beautiful textile bow, kind of old fashioned, antique-y looking. And I don't have too much of it. So then to make a spectacular bow, I don't need the whole thing to be this. I can just go ahead and make this as the bow in front and then create this as the background. This reminds me of my grandmother. I bought this ribbon and she made me, by hand, a beautiful, large, red velvet cushion that's shaped like a present. And I still have that, and I bring it out every Christmas, and I have it tied with this ribbon. So she made me this beautiful red velvet gift box by hand. I have pretty much everything my grandmother's ever made me. She's very artistic, and this ribbon always reminds me of my grandmother. Okay. Now I'm going to make the bow behind it with this. See, I don't have much of this left either. I think I bought this for a wedding. It was pretty expensive. It's not really silk, but it looks kind of like that raw silk. Very beautiful ribbon. And this gorgeous tie, like this gorgeous teal blue, or maybe this like tie silk, raw silk, you know, really beautiful, I think. I just thought, hey, these two would work beautifully together. I made a lot of bows in the last few weeks. I have a friend who has 3 sons, all in Boy Scouts. And every year I'm going to redo this because I don't have enough to make 3 loops on each side. So I'm going to shorten the tail because I hate to just cut off some of this ribbon, right? So we can have just a shorter tail and then we have a bigger bow. So anyway, I have a friend who has 3 boys, all in Boy Scouts. So they have to sell 150 wreaths every Christmas. And therefore they have to make 150 bows. So it's been a little tradition. I will help my friend out by making bows. So I think I made at least 80 bows for her this year. It's easy for me. I just, you know, get a fun show on Netflix and sit there and chill. Kind of fun making bows, right? Okay, this should work. Hopefully I can get a 3rd loop here. Yes. Sometimes you just work with the amount of ribbon you have. I hate cutting off like a little bit of the ribbon and throwing it away. So I remade it so that the tails are a little shorter. I can get 3 loops on each side and then we don't waste any ribbon. That's why I redid it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put this on top of this one. Now you'll notice that none of my ribbons have centers. That's because I've got all these fun embellishments that we're going to use for the centers. So you definitely want to stay to the end of the video to watch me put the embellishments on. So it's not just your basic bow, right? So this is our teal silk looking bow. And the great thing about the wired ribbons, you could just always fluff it. Even if you store this, you know, you don't want to crush it too badly, but if it were a little crushed, store it in a box, it's fine. I've been using the same burgundy velvet bows on my Christmas trees for years now. We just have to fluff it up each year. Okay, so this is done here. The last bow I'm going to show you is just using Costco ribbon. Both these ribbons I purchased from Costco, 50 yards for $7.99 or $7.98. Deal of the century. And they're very good quality ribbon. They're wired, nice width, and every year they have totally different patterns. And they start coming out with these, I want to say, like before Halloween. So if you see something you like, just buy it from Costco. Now I'm going to show you how to make a ribbon with a bow with 2 ribbons at the same time. Okay, got both of these. I'm not going to stack them, but you'll see. So you decide which one's going to be in the center. I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's start with the gold. I'm going to go ahead and do the loop with the gold. Now center 2 loops, right? This is a pretty gold brocade. I just can't believe this is a $7.99 for 50 yards ribbon. It's really gorgeous. In the old days, we would pay like maybe $40 for 10 yards. So this is really great. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same with the red. Leave a tail here. And then do a loop here and a loop here. Okay. Then we're going to go back to the gold, pinch it, and do a loop here and a loop here. And then you can kind of position how you want, where you want your gold, where you want your red. They kind of are just going to be staggered, right? Okay, now it's time for the red. Do another red over here. And a red over here. Okay, you guys know I'm just showing off now, right? I don't expect you guys to know how to do this from the beginning, but just wanted to show you another interesting way to make a bow. Okay. It doesn't have to be even. You could have 3 loops of gold on each side and 2 of red, or you can have it even. You can have more red, more gold, whatever aesthetically pleases you. Okay. All right. So we've got 3 loops of gold and 2 loops of red. 3 gold, 2 red. All right. I'm going to go ahead and make it symmetrical and do another loop of red on this side so that we have 3 of each. Making sure you're always turning it. And then we're going to go ahead and bring these 2 tails down onto this side of your hand and tie it off. Okay, then I'm going to line up the tails, make them all about the same length. They don't have to be perfectly the same length. And let's just make our lives easier and cut it at the diagonal, since we got 4 tails here. And it's up to you. You don't have to have 4 tails. You can have 2. You can have, only red tails, only gold tails. Just depends on how you want it to look and how you're using it. Here we have a bow made with 2 different kinds of ribbon. Okay. All right. Now we're done with our bows. I'm going to just show you something a little extra. That's kind of fun. We're going to embellish the centers of our bows with jewels and different fun things. Why not? Right? Okay, so let's start with this velvet and brocade bow that we made. Find the center. So I have an old agate pin that is broken. So I thought, this is really beautiful. It just sits in my jewel box. Why not put it in the middle of this bow? So I'm going to go ahead and apply a little glue to the hardware part of the pin and glue it to the center of this bow. You can find things like this at estate sales or, craft stores, also, and also even garage sales, like interesting old jewelry, or if you have like old clip-on earrings that you'll never wear because it hurts, right? You can use those. Gonna let it set and then fluff up the bow. Then I have this original first green bow that we made. I have these really heavy pearl earrings that I bought that I never wear. They're kind of stiff and weird, and they're just really heavy, so I never wear them. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that to the middle of this bow. See why I didn't make the centers? Because I'm going to put jewels in the center. I think this is gorgeous. If you got that on your gift at Christmas, I think you would be very impressed. Okay. And then this Silent Night ribbon, I thought it would be fun to put a little Christmas pick with a little red cardinal on there. So I'm just going to glue that to the center of this. Just endless possibilities, depending on your aesthetic, right? If you want something a little bit more natural, you can do cones, I don't know, dried orange slices, pepper berries, all sorts of things. I'm gonna glue this little cardinal on here with the cone. Little bird on here. And then for our teal ribbon here, I have a fun little ornament that's a cameo. It's a cameo ornament that I have. I just took the hanger off, and we're going to go ahead and put it in the middle of this bow. Let that set. I'm going to go ahead and go back to this. This should have set now. And then take a look at this. Fluff up the ribbon. So we're all done. We made 5 beautiful and unique bows today. I hope you learned something. Which one was your favorite? We have this beautiful cameo bow with the antique ribbon, our apple green velvet with the pearl earring in the middle, the gorgeous mossy green velvet with gold brocade, this novelty bow with Silent Night on it, perfect for Christmas, and our double ribbon bow. So I hope you had fun watching me make these bows and learn something today. As always, please like and subscribe. Click that little bell so you can be notified when I put out a new video. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you're going to try any of these bows. Happy holidays to you and your family, and I will see you in my next video.